Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a big story in international trade. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that his administration will begin notifying countries of new tariffs on their exports, effective August 1st. The tariffs will range from 10% to as high as 70%, depending on the country and the type of goods being imported. According to reports, around 12 letters will be sent out to trading partners on July 7th, with additional letters to follow in the coming days. This move is part of a broader effort by the Trump administration to renegotiate trade deals with countries around the world and to protect American industries from what it sees as unfair competition. The news has already sparked concern among some of America's closest trading partners, including Japan and the European Union. Both have expressed frustration with the U.S. approach to trade negotiations, which they see as overly aggressive and unpredictable. On the other hand, some countries, such as Vietnam, have managed to secure more favorable terms in their trade deals with the U.S. Just recently, Vietnam agreed to a deal that will cut tariffs on many of its goods to 20%, down from the 46% rate that had been threatened by the Trump administration. It's worth noting that this is a complex and multifaceted issue, with different perspectives and opinions depending on one's point of view. Some argue that the U.S. needs to take a tougher stance on trade in order to protect its workers and industries, while others see this approach as potentially harmful to the global economy and to international relations. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it continues to unfold, and we'll bring you updates and analysis from our team of experts. For now, it's clear that the U.S. is taking a bold and unconventional approach to trade policy, and the consequences of this approach will be closely watched by governments, businesses, and individuals around the world. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're halfway through our program, and we're diving into a developing story that's making headlines around the world. Today, we're focusing on the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. As we've been following the situation, Ukraine has claimed responsibility for striking a Russian airbase, specifically the Borisogolsk airbase in Russia's Voronezh region. According to Ukraine's military general staff, the attack targeted a depot containing glide bombs, a training aircraft, and possibly other aircraft. However, Russian officials have not yet commented on the incident. Meanwhile, Russia has continued its aerial assault on Ukraine, launching over 300 drones and decoys into Ukrainian airspace overnight. The Ukrainian Air Force reports that 157 of these were shot down, while 135 were likely electronically jammed. The western Khmelnytsky region was the main target of the attack, but fortunately, no damage, injuries, or deaths have been reported. This escalation comes after a significant aerial attack on Kyiv, which resulted in 2 fatalities and 26 injuries. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been in talks with U.S. President Donald Trump, discussing ways to strengthen Ukraine's air defenses and potentially jointly producing weapons. The U.S. has paused some shipments of military aid to Ukraine, including crucial air defense missiles, but European backers are considering how to fill the gap. It's essential to note that both sides have reported shooting down drones and claiming successes in their respective operations. Russia's defense ministry claims to have shot down 94 Ukrainian drones overnight, while Ukraine's Air Force reports similar numbers of Russian drones being taken down. As we continue to monitor the situation, it's clear that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia remains complex and multifaceted. We'll keep a close eye on developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we conclude today's program, we turn our attention to the latest developments in international diplomacy, particularly focusing on the complex relationships between the United States, Iran, and Israel. The geopolitical landscape has been tumultuous, with recent military strikes, negotiations, and diplomatic efforts making headlines. Firstly, let's delve into the remarks made by U.S. President Donald Trump regarding Iran's nuclear program. President Trump stated that Iran had not agreed to inspections of its nuclear facilities or to cease enriching uranium. This statement comes amidst heightened tensions following military strikes on Iran's nuclear sites and a deepening standoff over the return of international inspectors to these facilities. It's crucial to understand the context behind these developments. The International Atomic Energy Agency has been unable to inspect Iran's nuclear facilities since the recent conflict, and Iran's parliament has passed legislation suspending cooperation with the IAEA until the safety of its nuclear sites can be guaranteed. This situation is precarious, given the concerns about Iran's nuclear intentions and the implications for regional and global security. Meanwhile, President Trump is set to host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House with hopes of advancing a peace deal between Israel and Gaza. The visit comes at a time when the U.S. administration seeks diplomatic victories, particularly in light of recent divisions within its support base following the decision to bomb Iran. However, whether Israel is prepared to commit to a lasting peace remains uncertain, adding another layer of complexity to an already fraught situation. In parallel, there are indications that U.S.-Iran nuclear talks may resume, with Oslo being mentioned as a potential venue for these negotiations. The prospect of a new nuclear deal between the two countries is significant, given the history of tensions and the current state of their relationship. Experts like Richard Nephew, a senior research scholar at Columbia University, have been weighing in on the possibilities and challenges associated with such talks. As we navigate these intricate diplomatic maneuvers, it's essential to approach the situation with a balanced perspective, recognizing the multifaceted interests and concerns of all parties involved. The path forward will undoubtedly be challenging, requiring careful negotiation, compromise, and a commitment to dialogue. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.